Number 1, the smile that holds a knife. Listen carefully, because the most dangerous enemy you will ever face does not announce himself with hatred. He arrives wearing loyalty, laughing at your jokes, applauding your wins, and standing close enough to learn your weaknesses. And if you think betrayal only comes from obvious enemies, you are already exposed, because fake friends do not attack you directly. They study you, they wait, they mirror your values, and they feed on your trust while pretending to protect it. And the reason they succeed is simple. You want to believe them, you want comfort more than clarity, approval more than truth. And so you ignore the small signals, the delayed support, the quiet envy behind compliments, the way their energy shifts when you grow stronger, richer, calmer, or more independent. And make no mistake, a fake friend is not confused, not unlucky, not misunderstood. He is strategic. He knows exactly when to praise you publicly and undermine you privately, exactly when to advise patience while secretly hoping you fail, exactly when to call you brother while keeping mental score of your mistakes. And this is where power begins, not by cutting everyone off impulsively, but by learning to see clearly without emotion, because exposure always comes before elimination. And Machiavelli understood this well, that betrayal is never sudden. It is gradual, disguised as concern, wrapped in familiarity, and delivered at the moment you least expect it. And if you want to become untouchable, you must stop asking who likes you and start asking who benefits from you staying the same. Who grows uncomfortable when you change? Who subtly discourages your ambition while claiming to care about your peace? Because real allies sharpen you. Fake friends dull you. They drain momentum. They normalize mediocrity. They mock discipline. And they call it realism. And the cold truth is this: many people are not in your life to see you win. They are there to feel less alone in their own stagnation. And once you understand that, you stop explaining yourself, you stop oversharing, you stop seeking validation from those who secretly enjoy your confusion. And tonight, this is where your awakening starts. Because by the time a fake friend shows his true face openly, the damage is already done, unless you learn to read the signs early, calmly, without anger, without mercy, and with absolute control. Number 2, watch what they do when you're not looking. If you want to expose a fake friend, stop listening to what he says and start observing what he does when you are not the center of attention. Because performance ends when the audience leaves, and character begins where applause cannot reach. Notice how he speaks about people who trust him, because that is rehearsal for how he will speak about you. Notice the pleasure he takes in gossip, because information in weak hands becomes a weapon, not wisdom. And understand this clearly: a fake friend is obsessed with proximity, not loyalty. He wants access to your plans, your fears, your timing, your emotional state, because knowledge gives him leverage later. And this is why he asks questions that feel caring but are actually invasive. Why he remembers your weaknesses better than your strengths. Why he subtly redirects conversations back to your failures while pretending to help you grow. And pay attention to moments of silence, because silence reveals more than words ever will when you succeed. Does he go quiet? Does his energy drop? Does the room feel heavier? Does he change the subject quickly or inject humor to minimize your win? These are not accidents. They are leaks in the mask, and Machiavellian awareness teaches this brutal lesson. People who celebrate you only when it costs them nothing are not allies. They are spectators waiting for your fall. Another sign is advice that consistently keeps you small, cautious, delayed, hesitant. Advice that sounds wise but always benefits their comfort more than your progress. They will warn you about risks they never take, criticize moves they never attempt, and frame fear as maturity, all while doing nothing themselves. And here is the most dangerous signal of all. Fake friends love to test boundaries quietly. They borrow without returning. They show up late to things that matter to you. They dismiss your time, your standards, your principles, because disrespect is the first step to domination. And if you tolerate small violations, you invite larger ones later, so do not confront yet. Confrontation reveals your awareness too early. Instead, withdraw slightly, say less, observe more, Reduce access and watch how they react to distance. Because real friends respect space. Fake friends panic when control slips. And in that reaction, you will see their true intention clearly, without rage, without drama, just cold understanding, which is the foundation of power. Number 3, envy hides behind laughter. Understand this without emotion. Envy rarely announces itself as hatred. It disguises itself as humor, sarcasm, teasing, and just being honest. And this is why fake friends feel safe, because they never look openly hostile. They look playful, supportive on the surface, while slowly cutting at your confidence underneath. They laugh when you share a serious goal. They make jokes about your discipline. They call your vision unrealistic, and then retreat behind a smile when confronted, saying you're too sensitive. And that is the trap, because envy's greatest weapon is deniability. Machiavelli knew this, that men harm most effectively when they can pretend innocence, and a fake friend masters this art. He praises you publicly, but competes with you privately. He encourages you verbally, but hopes you fail emotionally, because your success exposes his stagnation, and your growth reminds him of everything he avoided becoming. Watch carefully how he reacts when you improve without him. When your circle expands, when your confidence no longer needs his approval, does he mock the new version of you? Does he romanticize the old version that depended on him? Does he subtly try to pull you back by reminding you who you used to be? This is not nostalgia, it is fear, because fake friends are threatened by evolution, not betrayal. And here is the cold truth. They do not want what you have. They want you not to have it because that preserves their internal hierarchy. Another sign is selective support. They are present for your struggles, but absent for your victories, because struggle makes them feel superior. While victory makes them feel small, they offer advice only after things go wrong, because hindsight gives them false authority, and when things go right, they claim coincidence, luck, or timing, anything except your competence. And do not underestimate this pattern, because over time, repeated minimization becomes internalized doubt. And doubt slows action, and slowed action kills momentum, which is exactly what fake friends want. Not your destruction immediately, but your stagnation quietly. And once you see this, you stop arguing. You stop explaining your dreams. You stop seeking emotional agreement, because power does not require validation. It requires clarity, and clarity is the beginning of separation. Number 4, they need you weak, not gone. Here is the mistake most people make. They assume fake friends want to destroy them outright. But destruction is noisy and risky. Control is quieter and far more efficient. So a fake friend does not want you gone. He wants you dependent, uncertain, emotionally available, and slightly behind your potential, because a weak version of you is useful, predictable, and safe. Notice how he reacts when you start setting boundaries. When you say no without explanation. When you stop sharing everything, because that is when irritation leaks out. Sarcasm sharpens, guilt appears, and suddenly you are accused of changing, becoming distant, becoming cold. And understand this clearly. The accusation is a confession, because the only people threatened by boundaries are those who benefited from your lack of them. Machiavellian awareness teaches that power shifts the moment you become less readable, and fake friends hate unreadable men. They rely on emotional access to stay relevant, so they will test you subtly, provoke reactions, bring up old stories to anchor you in a weaker identity, remind you of past failures to keep you psychologically small, and if that doesn't work, they escalate to moral pressure, framing your independence as arrogance, your focus as selfishness, your silence as betrayal. But this is not about values, it is about leverage, and leverage dies when you stop reacting. Another sign is how they respond to your discipline. When you choose routine over chaos, long-term goals over instant comfort, and silence over constant socializing, they call it boring, obsessive, extreme, because discipline exposes their excuses, and they cannot attack the results yet, so they attack the process. And here is the cold truth you must accept. Anyone who benefits from your confusion will resist your clarity. Anyone who benefits from your weakness will resent your strength. And this is why you must not announce your transformation. You must execute it quietly, reduce availability, increase standards, observe reactions, because real friends adapt to your growth. Fake friends compete with it, undermine it, or try to emotionally tax it. And the moment you stop feeding them access, attention, or reassurance, you will see their true face emerge, not in rage, but in subtle contempt. And once you see that, you do not confront, you recalibrate, because power is not about winning arguments, it is about removing influence. And that is how you begin to disappear from their reach while becoming untouchable. Number 5, information is the currency of betrayal. Understand this rule deeply. Fake friends trade in information, not loyalty, because secrets give them position, relevance, and insurance. And this is why they push for emotional closeness early, why they encourage you to vent, to confess, to explain your doubts, your plans, your fears, all while presenting themselves as safe, understanding, and non-judgmental. But in reality, they are collecting leverage, because information in the wrong hands does not stay private. It gets reshaped, reframed, and released strategically when it benefits them most. And Machiavellian logic is simple here. Never confuse emotional availability with trustworthiness, because the more a fake friend knows about you, the more angles he has to influence you later. Watch carefully how your words travel. Do things you shared in confidence suddenly appear as jokes in group settings, as concerns expressed by others, as softened versions that still point back to you? This is not coincidence. This is testing how much he can leak without consequences. Another signal is selective memory. He remembers your weaknesses perfectly but forgets your boundaries conveniently. Remembers your mistakes vividly but downplays your growth, because narrative control is power, and fake friends want to control the story. Others hear about you before you even enter the room. They position themselves as insiders, translators, interpreters of your character. And once that happens, your reputation is no longer fully yours. And here is the discipline most men lack: silence, because silence collapses their advantage. When you stop oversharing, stop explaining, stop reacting emotionally, their information pipeline dries up, and without new material, manipulation weakens. They may push harder at first, asking probing questions, acting concerned, fishing for updates. But hold the line, because the moment they realize access is gone, their interest shifts, and that shift reveals everything. Real friends stay even when there is nothing to extract. Fake friends disappear when there is nothing to use. And this is why restraint is power, not secrecy born of fear, but restraint born of strategy. You speak less, observe more, share selectively, and test loyalty through time, not emotion, because time exposes intention without confrontation. And remember this: betrayal rarely comes from strangers. It comes from those who had enough access to hurt you. So the man who controls information controls the battlefield. And once you master that, you stop being a target and start becoming a problem for anyone who hoped to use you. Number 6, distance is the test. Once you suspect a fake friend, do not accuse, do not explain, do not dramatize. Distance is the only test that cannot be faked, because loyalty survives space, manipulation does not. Reduce your availability calmly, respond less emotionally, stop initiating, stop chasing conversations, stop volunteering information, and watch what happens, because reactions under loss of access reveal true intent faster than any interrogation ever could. A real friend adjusts without resentment. He respects your focus, your schedule, your silence, and remains consistent. A fake friend feels the loss immediately, because distance threatens his influence, so he will react in predictable ways. First with confusion masked as concern, asking if everything is okay, then with subtle guilt, reminding you of past favors, shared history, emotional bonds, and if that fails, irritation appears, sarcasm sharpens, and your boundaries are reframed as betrayal. And this escalation is not emotional. It is strategic, because he is trying to pull you back into the old dynamic where he had leverage. Machiavelli would call this the moment where power shifts visibly, because whoever tolerates distance without resentment is not dependent, and whoever cannot tolerate it was feeding on control. Another revealing move is triangulation. He may start talking to others about you, framing your distance as a problem, trying to recruit opinion against you because manipulation prefers crowds, not one-on-one clarity. And if you hear your private decisions being debated publicly, understand this. He is no longer your friend. He is managing perception, and perception management is warfare by softer means. But stay calm, because your goal is not exposure through conflict. It is exposure through consistency. You stay polite, firm, and unavailable. You do not over-explain. You do not defend, because defense implies guilt, and guilt restores their leverage. Instead, you let time do what arguments cannot, because over weeks and months, fake friends grow restless without access, without drama, without reaction. And eventually, they reveal themselves through impatience, disrespect, or disappearance. And all three are confessions. Distance does not create betrayal, it reveals it, and once revealed, you do not react emotionally. You adjust structurally, you reorganize your circle, your time, your priorities, and you move forward without announcement. Because the most powerful exit is the one that leaves no scene, only silence and results. Number 7, never confront, always reposition. When a fake friend is exposed, your instinct may be to confront, to demand explanations, to force honesty. But understand this clearly, confrontation feeds their narrative and gives them information about your awareness. And Machiavellian discipline rejects emotional closure in favor of strategic advantage. Because a man who confronts reveals his wounds, while a man who repositions reveals nothing. So instead of arguments, you change logistics, you change access, you change proximity, and you let the relationship fade without explanation. Because explanations invite negotiation, and negotiation restores influence. And watch how powerful this is. When you stop reacting, stop engaging in debates, stop justifying your choices, the fake friend loses his role. He can no longer play advisor, critic, or insider. And without a role, he becomes irrelevant, which is the most damaging outcome for someone who thrives on influence. Another truth is this: fake friends are skilled at reversing blame. They will twist your clarity into cruelty, your boundaries into betrayal, your silence into arrogance. And if you confront them, you give them material to perform this reversal publicly. So deny them the stage, deny them emotion, deny them access, and let them explain your absence without your participation. Because any story they tell without your reaction eventually collapses. People notice patterns, consistency, and results over time. And while they talk, you build, and that contrast becomes undeniable. Repositioning also means upgrading your environment. Because proximity determines influence, you spend more time with disciplined men, focused men, men who speak less and do more. Because character is contagious, and weak dynamics die when removed from their ecosystem. And here is a rule that separates men of power from men of impulse. Never punish betrayal emotionally, punish it structurally. Remove access to information, time, energy, and opportunity, because emotions fade, but structures last. And once you do this, you will feel the shift internally. Less noise, less doubt, more clarity, more momentum. Because fake friends create psychological drag, and when drag is removed, progress accelerates naturally. And this is the final insult to betrayal. Not anger, not revenge, but irrelevance. Because nothing wounds a manipulator more than realizing he no longer matters. And when that happens, you do not celebrate. You do not announce. You simply continue forward, silent, focused, and untouchable. Number 8, loneliness is the price of clarity. Once you remove fake friends, there will be a silence, and you must not misinterpret it as loss, because loneliness is not the enemy here. Confusion is, and clarity always feels empty at first, because noise has been removed. Machiavellian awareness demands that you accept this phase without panic, without rushing to refill the space with familiar but corrosive connections. Because many men return to false alliances not out of trust, but out of discomfort with being alone. And that weakness is exactly what fake friends exploit. Understand this: a small circle with alignment is infinitely more powerful than a large circle with hidden agendas. And in this quieter phase, your thoughts sharpen, your instincts recalibrate, and your tolerance for nonsense drops, which is progress, not isolation. Fake friends thrive in chaos, constant messaging, constant reassurance, constant emotional exchange, because movement hides intention, but stillness exposes it. And when you stop performing socially, you begin seeing people as they are, not as you hoped they would be. Another truth most men avoid is this: some fake friends were never malicious. They were simply incompatible with growth. But incompatibility can still destroy momentum if tolerated. So do not romanticize history. Shared memories are not shared futures, and loyalty is not proven by how long someone stayed, but by how they behaved when things changed. And during this phase, you must learn selective trust, not closing yourself off entirely, but opening slowly, deliberately, testing consistency over time, not emotional intensity, because intensity can be manufactured, consistency cannot. And here is where masculine stoicism becomes essential. You resist the urge to explain your separation. You let others misunderstand you if they must, because being understood by everyone is not a requirement for success. And peace is not found in approval, it is found in alignment. And as weeks pass, you will notice something subtle but powerful. Your energy returns, your focus deepens, your decisions become cleaner, because you are no longer carrying invisible emotional weight. And this is the reward for clarity, not instant happiness, but long-term strength. And once you experience this state, you will never again confuse constant companionship with genuine alliance. Because solitude taught you what false loyalty never could: how to stand firm without applause, how to move forward without witnesses, and how to trust yourself above the noise. And that lesson alone makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Number 9. Power is built in quiet rooms. After clarity and solitude comes construction, because exposure without rebuilding leaves a man empty, but rebuilding turns awareness into power. And this phase happens quietly, away from applause, away from explanation, away from people who only notice you when they can benefit. Understand this deeply. Fake friends drain momentum because they keep you talking about life instead of living it, analyzing instead of executing, defending instead of advancing. And when they are gone, time stretches open, focus sharpens, and discipline finally has room to work. This is where you become dangerous, not loud, not reactive, but consistent, because consistency terrifies manipulators more than confrontation ever could. They cannot read you, cannot predict you, cannot interrupt your rhythm, and that loss of access is permanent. Another shift happens internally. You stop needing witnesses for your progress. You stop announcing plans. You stop seeking emotional agreement before acting, because you learn that most sabotage enters through conversation, not conflict. And Machiavellian realism teaches this rule: move in silence and let results speak, because results cannot be argued with. And as you build, pay attention to who respects your time without entitlement, who supports without competition, who stays steady when you gain nothing immediately. These are not many people, and that is the point. Power never requires a crowd, it requires alignment. And here is the final transformation. You stop fearing betrayal because you remove the conditions that allow it: limited access, strong boundaries, emotional restraint, and selective trust. Betrayal only destroys those who are open without structure, and you are no longer that man. And when fake friends look back and realize you moved on without drama, without collapse, without resentment, it unsettles them deeply, because your silence denied them closure, denied them relevance, denied them control, and that is the quiet revenge of discipline. But do not dwell on them, because your life is now oriented forward toward growth, mastery, and precision. And once you taste this level of independence, you will never again trade it for false warmth, because warmth without loyalty is a trap, and loyalty without discipline is a liability. And you now understand the difference, not intellectually, but through action. And this is where power becomes permanent, when your environment, habits, and standards align so tightly that no fake friend can enter, without being exposed automatically, without effort, without emotion, simply by failing to belong. Number 10, becoming untouchable. This is where it all converges, not in anger, not in revenge, but in mastery. Because becoming untouchable does not mean you trust no one. It means no one has unearned access to your inner world, your plans, your emotional state, or your direction, and that is the highest form of power. Machiavellian power is quiet, patient, and precise. It does not announce boundaries. It enforces them through behavior. It does not expose fake friends publicly. It outgrows them privately. And masculine stoicism seals this transformation by teaching you that feelings are signals, not commands. You observe them, you do not obey them, and so you no longer react to subtle disrespect, delayed loyalty, or hidden envy. You simply remove the source and move forward, and here is the final truth you must carry. Fake friends cannot destroy strong men. They can only slow weak ones because destruction requires access. And access is granted, not stolen. And you now understand how to control it through silence, through distance, through selective trust, and through discipline. And once you operate this way, betrayal loses its sting because you expected nothing less from unaligned men. And expectation is the birthplace of disappointment, but clarity eliminates expectation entirely. You no longer seek loyalty where none is owed, and you no longer confuse familiarity with alliance. And this is why your presence changes. You speak less, listen more, move with intention, and people feel it. They feel that you cannot be easily influenced, easily guilted, easily manipulated. And that presence alone filters your circle naturally, because fake friends sense when their tactics will fail, and they drift away on their own. And that is the final victory, not conflict, but immunity, not exposure, but insulation. And if this message sharpened your awareness, strengthened your boundaries, or made you uncomfortable in the right way, then you are already ahead of most men. And if you want more cold clarity, more power psychology, and more truths most people avoid, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because this is where weak illusions end and real strength begins.